a fan of K-pop. I have been for the last 4 years. Now, I usually don't like saying this out loud. In fact, my face might be getting red right now. If I wasn't looking out on a room of empty desks, that is. That's my cameraman right there. When doing icebreakers in classes, I often avoid the questions, what is your favorite music genre and who's your favorite artist? And I'll choose to respond vaguely by saying something like, oh, you know, I like to listen to a bunch of different things. Like, I'm pretty open-minded. I listen to everything except for country. And then one day I asked myself, why am I embarrassed to admit I like K-pop? This led me to realize the reason I'm embarrassed to admit I like K-pop is because other people's opinions of the genre are often very negative. Therefore, when I admit I like K-pop, people automatically see me in a negative light. And many people often try to brush off the entire genre by saying, K-pop groups create manufactured garbage. I like listening to real music. Or, why would I listen to music I can't understand? And lastly, K-pop fans are crazy teen girls, so the music must not be good. You may have even thought some of these things yourself. K-pop is simply pop music sung in Korean, although in recent years it's become widely popular all over the world. An estimate released by the Korean Foundation figured that there were about 105 million Hallyu fans spread across 109 countries, excluding South Korea, in September 2020. A 43% increase from 4 years ago, when around 73 million people were K-pop fans. The genre didn't gain popularity for no reason at all, so today I'm going to confront these misconceptions, so maybe one day I won't have to be so embarrassed to admit I like K-pop, and maybe we'll change your opinion on the genre. Hello, I'm Bluemoon. And I'm Redmoon. And before we officially start this video, we just wanted to mention that I, Redmoon, wrote the entire script for this YouTube video. Credit to her, she did all of the work. I'm just going to be lending my voice to make this video a little bit more interesting. But I'm bringing this fact up because I originally wrote the entire script for this video to be read in front of a college class of people that don't know that much about K-pop. So if you're watching this video and you know a lot about K-pop, I'm just warning you now that this video is not going to go too in depth on every topic, and I'm just going to be pounding down stereotypes the general public might think, and not what K-pop stans might think. I know there's a lot of videos that can get very nuanced on this topic, but I'm just letting you guys know this video is not going to get very nuanced and it's going to be vague for the uneducated people. But you know, if you do know a lot about K-pop, feel free to continue watching this video because, you know, sometimes on YouTube I watch BTS fact videos, even though I know a lot of BTS facts, and they'll just be like, yeah, they ate with that one. Like, that's correct. So feel free to fact check this video if you want. And I just wanted to let you guys know this video is very biased towards BTS because I gave myself like a week to write this whole script, and I wanted to prove from things I already knew instead of having to research new groups and new facts I didn't know. To save time. So sorry I mentioned BTS a lot. I do mention a little bit of other groups, but if you guys want to mention some of your favorite groups down in the comments below, as long as the comments you're writing pertain to the points I'm making in this video, feel free. But I think we got everything we wanted to say out of the way, so let's crush those stereotypes. Let's go. Let's go, guys. And if you don't know that much about K-pop, be prepared to have your mind blown. Alright, let's get into it. You've probably heard that most K-pop groups are formed by companies scouting for young people to train. A lot of people like to use this fact to brush off the entire genre as a whole. They'll say, why would I want to listen to a song a company manufactured only to make sales? Well, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but the world isn't black and white. Of course, there are some songs that are made by big corporations to make profit, but this can't be applied to every K-pop group. American artists have been trained too. According to an interview Ariana Grande did with Insider, she has been training with a vocal coach for over 14 years. That vocal coach is named Vetro, who has worked with multiple artists like Shawn Mendes, Katy Perry, and Camila Cabello. Most artists have a hidden team of people behind them, helping them every step of the way, but in American music, you don't often hear about the work that goes on behind the scenes. Fun fact, Britney Spears' song Baby One More Time, which talks about a young girl's feelings after being broken up with, was actually written by a middle-aged Swedish man, who also wrote California Girls by Katy Perry and I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys. Now, I'm not saying it's bad to write songs for other people, but I'll get into that later. But yes, what you've probably heard about before is true. K-pop idols are scouted and trained by companies, but at least they're honest about it. For starters, let's talk about the most famous K-pop group at the moment, BTS. Before the group even released their first songs, they made vlogs and posted them on YouTube detailing the amount of training they're doing every day.
그래서 아프면 안 되죠.
항상 챙겨 먹고 비타민 챙겨 먹는 거 봅시다.
근데 몸이 부서지도록 열심히 하겠습니다. 좋습니다.
Even now, the group posts dance practice videos on YouTube and openly talk about their training. While being interviewed on a variety show in 2021, a K-pop group named TXT was asked who came up with the title/concept for your new single. They were quick to say their CEO, Bang PD, came up with the concept and pitched them the idea. With all that being said, I'm not trying to deny that there are some bad K-pop companies out there that like to push their artists past their limits. Such as K-pop group Omega X coming forward this month about their company's CEO Kang Sung-hee, stating she not only verbally and physically abused the group, but also sexually harassed them. The members have said the CEO would even threaten to disband their group if they didn't do exactly what she said. But the same thing happens in the American music industry too. For example, Britney Spears' whole life at one point was being controlled by her parents and her label. While being interviewed by Variety magazine, she is quoted saying, "I was forced to be on tour in 2018. My management said if I didn't do this tour, I will have to find my own attorney. My own management could sue me if I didn't do this tour." What the fuck? As an artist myself, I see a ton of talented stylists, songwriters, and choreographers all coming together to create a great end product. Most great things in life come from hard work. Are artists joining music companies in hopes to work on their skills and get a job in the music industry, doing anything different than what we're doing right now, sitting in this classroom? I wrote this part of the essay assuming I'd be presenting this in front of a college class, so just picture that in your head. I personally really love BTS for the fact that they are so open about who works with them. In 2020, they revealed that the choreography for their song On was made by a 19-year-old girl named Sienna Lalau. They even put her in their music video.
Music and performance transcends language and countries and races.
While on the band's second tour in 2017, RM looked out at the crowd at the sold-out Prudential Center in Newark, USA, and said, "Music and performance transcends language, countries, and races." Which stands true for BTS, as according to the BBC News, added together their sales, streams, and downloads made them the most successful act of 2021 for the second year in a row. A lot of songs have blown up in the past despite their lyrics. The Backstreet Boys' lyrics to the song I Want It That Way famously made no sense if you actually sat down and tried listening to them. Why? Because they were co-written by Max Martin when he didn't have that good of an understanding of the English language as he does today. Okay, here are the original lyrics up on screen and the alternate version of the lyrics they were going to pick over the one everybody knows. So we're gonna compare them. Here are the song lyrics everybody knows. So at first it starts with, "You are my fire, the one." See, okay, we're not gonna sing the whole time. "The one desire, believe when I say I want it that way." And then here's the alternate lyrics they wrote when they realized the song made no sense. "I'm yours completely, I feel so..." Okay, we're not singing again. "I feel so deeply, you're my first thought every day, and I want it that way." You understand in the alternate version what he wants that way. It just look at, we'll leave them up on screen. Like, read them. In the first one, you don't exactly know like what the singer wants that way. You can kind of infer, but they don't straight up say it. So you're probably wondering, why did the Backstreet Boys choose to release the version of the song that arguably made no sense? They honestly just agreed it sounded better, and despite the nonsensical lyrics, the song was nominated for 3 Grammys in the year 2000, including for Song of the Year. Another popular example of music transcending a language is the song Despacito, which came out in 2017 and tore up American charts, topping Billboard charts in 47 different countries. In fact, Justin Bieber heard it at a club 4 months after its release and decided he wanted to do a remix with the original artist, making the song even more popular. This song is mainly sung in Spanish, but it blew up all across the world simply because it's a vibe. Okay, just kidding, there are a bunch of reasons as to why this song blew up. In fact, Vox made a 3,000-word article about this song's success. But that's besides the point. Lyrics aren't what makes good music, although it sure does help. A lot of people think all K-pop songs have meaningless lyrics. Most K-pop songs only have a select few words in English, so when Westerners listen to the songs, they may assume that the rest of the lyrics are meaningless. For example, when listening to BTS's song Fake Love, you'll hear the words repeated in English, "I'm so sick of this fake love. Fake love." They repeat fake love a lot is what I'm saying. I'm sorry for my singing. But if you actually take the time to look up the Korean lyrics, you'll see that the song is much deeper than the English lyrics imply. So for example, here are my favorite lyrics from BTS's song Fake Love. "I wish love was as perfect as love itself. I grew a flower that can't be bloomed in a dream that can't come true. God dang! You just get so much more of the point of the song if you look up the Korean lyrics. And a lot of K-pop groups like BTS talk about so many different subjects. I know personally BTS talk about depression, anxiety, like they made a whole album about feelings during the pandemic, and just, here's a whole list. There's just so many emotions that can be described through so many different languages, and people just hear the word fake love repeated and just decide to write off the whole genre, which is just not fair in my opinion. The leader of BTS, Kim Namjoon, otherwise known as RM, said on a live stream in 2022, "These days, most people don't listen to lyrics anymore. I think it's the trend of music, but in such an era, I want to buck the trend. As someone who wanted to become a poet, the audible feel of the words and the beauty of the lyrics are more important." BTS has over 300 plus songs and have songwriting credits on almost every single one of them. I'm gonna put some pictures here up on screen, and oh my god, that is a lot of songs and a lot of songwriting credits. And BTS aren't the only K-pop groups that help write their own music. Tons of other K-pop groups do, so if you know some, if you want to shout out any artists you like, write them down in the comments below. Give them their credit where credit's due. Personally, I like listening to K-pop because in a lot of cases, it's not just soulless pop music, as some would say. To me, K-pop doesn't really have a specific sound, and in fact, a lot of artists try dabbling in every genre. For example, BTS have songs that have hip-hop, EDM, Latin pop, jazz, R&B, and yes, even a little bit of country influence. Now, the second reason people steer clear of K-pop is because of some fans. K-pop fans are seen as just some crazy teen girls, with an emphasis on the crazy part. K-pop fans are known to be very defensive when it comes to their favorite groups and a little intense, especially on Twitter. But is Twitter really a good representation of any group of people? No. Of course, with a community as large as the K-pop community, there are bound to be some bad apples in the mix. I personally think that K-pop fans are more defensive over their favorite artists more than any other group of fans because their favorite artists are often more mistreated than any other artists. So here are a few examples where this holds true. In 2021, German radio host Matthias Matuschik had a long-running radio show cancelled after fans called him out for being blatantly racist while talking about BTS on a show. He compared BTS to the coronavirus, stating, "BTS are just some crappy virus that hopefully there will be a vaccine for soon as well," indicating the virus he was talking about was the coronavirus. Paper Magazine fans demanded an apology for this statement, which led to him saying, "Well, I have a Korean car, so I can't be racist." His car was made in Japan, so that statement is not even true, and he basically tried pulling the "I have a black friend" card, but he couldn't even say he had a Korean friend. He had to resort to his car, and then his car wasn't even Korean. A car doesn't have a race. A car doesn't have a race, why does that matter? Anyways, his statement and his horrible apology led to his show being justifiably cancelled, in my opinion. Another example of mistreatment within the music industry once again comes from a BTS controversy. Now, the Grammys have a long and racist past, so long in fact that there's an entire Wikipedia page about it. But BTS was nominated for a Grammy in 2021, which sounds great at first, until you realize that they chose their one and only English song out of their 300 plus Korean songs, and they chose it over their entire Korean album that came out that same year. A quote from Elle magazine reads, "Their names and faces were splashed across ads in the weeks leading up to the event, and nearly every commercial break in the almost 4-hour-long program promised, 'Coming up next, BTS.' But the thing is, they weren't coming up next. They were coming up last." Okay, so we're gonna talk about our personal experience watching the Grammys that year because we were watching it live. And it was a whole disaster. So BTS were nominated under Best Pop Group / Duo. They added the duo part on there so they could nominate people that weren't officially in pop groups, which is already messed up. And then they were like, I know this category is usually in the actual Grammys show, the whole 3-hour show. We usually, air that part where we tell you who won that category. But instead of airing it during the actual Grammys, we're gonna host a live stream before the Grammys and then tell people who won that category before the Grammys even start. So as BTS fans, we're like, I want to see if they're going to win the Grammys. So we had to tune in before the Grammys even officially started to watch a YouTube live stream, which was so weird. And we're sitting there watching it and they lost, of course. But Oh yeah, they
Girl,
lost
Girl.
to Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande. They're not even a pop group.
No,
they
just did a collab. Like, they just collabed. Like,
And-
that song was good, Rain On Me was good, but they're a duo, not a group.
So I already thought that was pretty messed up. I mean, I don't support all the people that sent hate to Ariana Grande and like Lady Gaga. Like, I'm happy they won, but they shouldn't have won in that category because I feel like it wasn't even for them.
No.
But anyways, that's my own personal opinion.
Yeah. The kicker is BTS, you know, they got the information that they lost, but they still had to perform at the Grammys. And while we were watching the Grammys, like a lot of ARMYs were at the time, we were waiting for BTS to perform, and the Grammys kept saying, like, during commercial breaks and like every 5 seconds, they kept saying like, oh, BTS is gonna come up, like BTS is coming, like just wait, BTS is up next, when they never were, and they performed last.
Literally
Like,
last.
They milked them the entire performance, and even before the Grammys, I remember seeing like tons of commercials for the Grammys, and they kept promoting BTS in every one.
Like repeatedly, like I saw on TV, like on TikTok, on YouTube, and it's just so messed up. They obviously use them for views. Sorry,
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
They obviously use them for views, but BTS got the last laugh. According to Elle magazine, the Grammys ratings have been declining 53% every year. The night BTS performed on the Grammys, the broadcast only had 8.8 million viewers tuning in, while BTS's live stream they held after the Grammys that night received 14 million views.
This further shows BTS's mistreatment, as their success is often overlooked and brushed under the rug.
And there's entire video essays out there already about what certain K-pop groups have been through and mistreatment in the music industry in general. You can definitely check out after watching this if you want more details. But we're not going to go on about that too much in this video, but we just wanted to mention a lot of shit goes down in the music industry against K-pop idols. That is just pretty messed up. Apart from K-pop fans being seen as crazy, they're also seen as crazy teenage girls, which just isn't true. Having this view is also a very misogynistic way to brush off an entire music genre. Youve Blake, someone who studies the media's depiction of fangirls, said this amazing quote during her TED Talk.
Why is it that the image of young girls screaming their lungs out with excitement for a pop star is considered crazy, psycho, scary, a bit much, but the image of young boys screaming their lungs out for a footballer is perfectly normal?
And it's not just random people saying these things, but other celebrities as well. We have 2 examples once again pertaining to BTS.
In 2021, James Corden decided to talk about BTS performing at the United Nations on his late night show. Everything was going relatively well in the segment until he decided to say,
Historic moment. It actually marks the first time 15-year-old girls everywhere found themselves wishing that they were Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez.
yeah, yikes. He got so much backlash for this online that people started to question whether BTS would ever go back on his show again. And being the amazing people BTS are, they decided to go back on his show and confront him on the issue, because at the end of the day, he was spreading a harmful stereotype about K-pop as a whole and them.
James, how about you? You've been in some hot water with armies. Are you all right? Is that all right, James? Are you okay?
This was where I think it was wrong. We said that your fans were 15-year-old girls, which of course isn't true, because I'm 43 years old and I consider myself to be one of the biggest BTS fans on planet Earth. I don't know, the prospect of doing anything that may have upset them was, I didn't enjoy that feeling, and I hope they know that we would never do anything
Jones,
that would
it's all
upset
right. We appreciate your apology.
Ah, it wasn't.
Just wanted to clean the air. Wanted to clean the air.
But we love you.
That's it.
We love you. We absolutely love you.
okay,
We
James.
do.
This whole clip is really hard for us to watch because we're not sure if James Corden knew like they were gonna bring that issue up. Like, he looked really surprised. It's just so awkward to watch.
And so uncomfortable.
You can just see him panic.
Like it's so bad, and it's also like he knows what he said is wrong, because
Right.
when he had to say it to their faces,
Like, he couldn't. He was stuttering. Like, if you ever have like a harmful stereotype about K-pop like in your head, imagine saying that to the artist, and if you can't, like, you know that's wrong and fucked up.
Now, I have a lot of opinions on James Corden. I know BTS said they forgave him in the interview, which is really funny.
Yeah.
Because BTS said, "We forgive you," and he said, "Oh, I wasn't apologizing." Like, he was trying
just
to say
take that. Just say, oh yeah, you're welcome. Like,
Just say, "Oh, okay, yeah." BTS was so classy, and like it was fucked up for him to do that. And he was like, "Oh, I'm your fan. Like, I'm a fan of you. I shouldn't have never said that." It's like, if you were a fan, you wouldn't say that in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me. Anyways, it's my opinion. I shouldn't throw my opinion in here,
No.
but
continuing.
yeah. Another example of the stereotype being presented in front of a large audience was in 2019. BTS was performing at iHeartRadio's Jingle Ball, and after their performance was finished, Katy Perry was up next, and she decided to say, ARMYs should be happy tonight because they got to stay up past their bedtimes. If you're unaware, most K-pop groups create their own light sticks fans can buy to support their idols at concerts. Well, at the concert, there were a lot of ARMYs there with their light sticks, and after Katy Perry said this remark, she received a black ocean from BTS fans. Meaning they all left. Ooh, that is awkward. And I used to be a fan of Katy Perry when I was like 9. So, honestly, Katy Perry, what's wrong with having young fans? Because I was your fan at 9 years old, and I think the call is coming from inside the house. I can go on and on about why saying K-pop fans are crazy teenager girls is horrible and ignorant, but that could be an entirely different video essay on its own. But with all of that being said, K-pop fans can come together in more ways than just boycotting celebrities. In June of 2020, during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement, BTS donated $1 million to the cause, stating to CNN, "When we're abroad or in other situations, we've also been subjected to prejudice. We feel that prejudice should not be tolerated. It really has no place." In the next 25 hours after the group's donation, fans of BTS matched their $1 million donation. This is one of the many times fans of K-pop groups have come together to do something meaningful.
I absolutely noticed BTS fans take what BTS has given them, all the wonderful things that they've brought into their lives, and kind of pay that forward.
On the day of BTS's historic Citi Field concert, volunteers from One in an Army, a fan-driven global charity initiative, were collecting canned goods and blankets just across the street to give to local organizations City Harvest and Coalition for the Homeless.
Even if we only do a small thing, that can be a big thing for somebody else. We want to make them proud. Yeah. We do. We really do.
With all that being said, I'll say it again. I'm a fan of K-pop because I like the music and I admire all the hard work that goes into making it. I'm a fan of the artists I like listening to, and it's as simple as that. There's nothing embarrassing about supporting what makes you happy. I hope next time you hear about K-pop, you consider why the genre is so popular in the first place and maybe give it more than a second thought. And maybe one day you'll believe that music can in fact transcend languages, countries, and races. Thank you guys so much for watching if you made it this far into the video.
Thank you.
And if you like us, make sure to check out our 2 TikToks, our Instagram, our Redbubble, our Depop, and our Mercari, where we're selling things like this all of the time. We've just sold this, but we update our shop with cute, adorable plushies and other trinkets all the time. So check that out, and thank you guys really so much for watching this video. We put a lot of time and effort into it, and I know it's long. Sorry for you having to listen to our voices for like, I don't know how long. This is gonna be like 20 minutes. I'm already tired of listening to my own voice, and we haven't even done the voiceover parts yet. We haven't even edited it yet, and I'm already tired. So we appreciate you guys for sticking with us, and just remember to dream is to expand your imagination and to create your own reality. Anything's possible, and things don't have to make sense. See you in the next video.